off on this side a little.
I know. Thanks, Lauren. Hey, it's Kat Ramirez. I am CEO and founder of Advertise. We help businesses stand out and grow. And I have Lauren Cohen back again, attorney and CEO of eCounsel. And she has been rapidly on fire, doing a lot of workshops, doing a lot of coaching 101, and helping with the funding issue and pivoting your business. Welcome, Lauren. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kat. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's funny because your team has to be responsive to my craziness right now, right?
I know. These impromptu webinars you're having and all this stuff that you're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's good.
And
though.
it's great. It's great to have that team available and stuff like that. So thank you for having me.
Yeah.
And always a pleasure. Your hair looks amazing.
Thanks. So as I look to see that we're live, can you just pretend like nobody's ever seen you before? Can you give people a little background on, what you do, and that way they get to know you a little bit?
Sure. So I'm Lauren Cohen. I'm an international lawyer and a business continuity strategist. I work in a normal world, pre-pandemic and post and during. I work with business owners that want to invest, live, work, and play anywhere in the world. Literally. I am a specialist at cross-border work, meaning that I do a lot of work between Canada and the US, being originally from Toronto and living in Florida. And I help businesses grow and expand their reach. And more recently, I created a system called Scale Up Checkup, which is a 7-point inspection of a business's risk in 7 essential areas. And one of those 7 essential areas is funding and capitalization. Hence, I saw all of this stuff happening. And as it was happening, I said, okay, I've got to respond. I've got to step up and I've got to take a leadership role. And I decided to start developing my skill set. I had already done tons of loan applications over time and business plans. I've been writing business plans for 20 years. So I realized there was a need for me to step up, and I am focused on helping people access the money, allocate the money appropriately once they get it, and pivot their business for short and long-term success. So that's what I'm doing.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Lauren. And so the conversation I was having with Lauren before we got started was I personally was surprised I got some money. And my conversation with Lauren was, how do I know what I got? Because we have all applied to so many different resources and funding. And then how do we move forward in allocating this so that we're not penalized and we're not doing things improperly with money? Because I think that's something to really reinforce is you don't want to improperly spend this money, right, Lauren?
Correct. That is the most important thing that you can learn from this presentation or from my webinar tomorrow, which is all about allocation. So there's a couple of very important things to remember. One, even if you get the money, now there's 2 types of money. There's the economic injury disaster loan, which is a loan that also has a grant component, which is what Kat received in her bank account today. The grant component is $1,000 per employee, up to a maximum of $10,000 per employee that you would receive as a grant to help you keep them employed. That's part of the economic injury disaster loan. The other part is up to $10 million. This is what all the hullabaloo was about Ruth's Chris and Shake Shack and Ritz-Carlton getting all this money and having to give it back, and they should have not taken it in the first place, but that's another story. But anyway, that is up to $10 million per business for a business of 500 employees or less, and that is a loan. But it's 3.75% for a for-profit, 2.75% for a nonprofit. Now, the beautiful thing about this loan is it's a 30-year term. The payments are really spaced out well, and the first year has 0 interest, zero payments available. And when you get the loan, which you'll probably receive an email, Kat, now that you've received the grant, you'll probably receive an email telling you can access up to this amount, let's say 100,000, and you can choose on a scrolling bar, just like a bar on a quiz, how much you want, and it will show you what your payments are. Okay. So it's a very easy process. You have to upload a few documents, and then you get your money as a loan. Now, that money should be allocated in a separate bank account. But more importantly, even than that, is the Paycheck Protection Program money. And the Paycheck Protection Program money is forgivable, a forgivable loan up to 8 weeks of payroll, but you're not even supposed to take that money if you don't actually need it.
Right.
Now, this is a big deal because a lot of people, a lot of business owners are like, oh, it's free money. Let's take advantage. And we're struggling. Well, there's a difference between a little struggle and a lot of struggle. And how they're going to enforce this, I'm not sure. But the reality is, if you don't need that money to keep your business going, don't take it. And if you do need it, we have to be super careful about how we allocate it. Every cent has to be appropriately allocated. And we have to, like I said, have a separate bank account. Yep. And work with a bookkeeping and accounting expert team. Like I have a strategic partner that does this, especially for my clients, to allocate the money, because otherwise you're going to have to not only pay it back, but you may be subject to legal implications as well. So right. It's a big deal.
Right. And I'm so glad you said that, because if anything, the one thing I've heard over and over from people who have received the money is you have to make sure that you hire a professional. I mean, you don't want to get caught off guard for the fact that you do have to document where the money was spent.
That's right.
These big companies that applied for it and got it immediately, they got it because they had these accountants that just steamrolled and processed that paperwork right through. Whereas all the small businesses just couldn't get their crap together. I'm one of them, and they sucked up all that money, Yeah. And that was
very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And as you know, there's a lot of activity going on in my Facebook group, Pivot or Perish, which we've been posting about. But in that group, we're going to be splitting the group actually out into professionals and business owners. And I don't mean business owners aren't professionals, but lawyers especially and financial advisors have different restrictions and requirements and obligations because they're licensed. So those of us that are licensed can't pivot the same way as those of us that have small businesses that have more kind of flexibility. So we're going to split that out and do 2 coaching programs, one for professional service providers and one for business owners and entrepreneurs, because the conversation is very different as well. But the interesting thing is, in this group, there's a lot of interaction and people asking questions and people supporting each other and really providing a service. Like yesterday, I posted something. Anybody in the restaurant industry is entitled to or can get a $500 grant from a grant program developed by the National Restaurant Association and Guy Fieri. And that's $500 in your pocket. So if you're in the restaurant business, apply for it. It takes a few minutes. So, and always I'm posting about that. I have a resource guide, because it's not just this government money. If we are dependent on this government money to sustain our business, we are in trouble.
Right.
So there's lots of other money available, and grant money as well as loan money from various sources.
Yeah. So the second round of funding, just so that we're clear, so I keep getting emails from my bank saying my paperwork's next in line, every day I think I get an email from my bank saying, Kat, you're next in line, Mm-hmm. Again, it's a first come, first go basis, right?
It really is. I mean, I say that, but you have to probably guess that as much as it is supposed to be first come, first serve, there's definitely still going to be some strings pulled.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because my guess is my bank's looping me in because I'm in some queue, and as they process these loans and go through them, then it's a matter of like who sucked it up in the beginning too, who's left.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing to note, and I don't know if we've spoken about this, but you don't have to limit yourself to one application for paycheck protection.
Yes, you mentioned that to me.
Yeah. So you can do multiple applications, like, for example, PayPal and Cabbage and Intuit and several other resources are available for those that haven't received answers yet. I know I did more than one application. I haven't received any money yet myself. The other thing that you can do is I have a colleague. So those clients that work with me, I have a colleague that has some really unique SBA lender connections. And so if you're working with me, that's part of the service that I offer, is an introduction to this colleague who will help you access some of those opportunities. So it's, again, unfortunately, it does come down to who you know sometimes.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of good resources available. I applied through PayPal. I haven't heard, but I did apply through PayPal. So it's easy. It's the same application process. So you know, the really only downside of it is you get another credit pull.
Right. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that when someone looks at everybody's credit, it's going to be like, oh, that was that year of the pandemic.
Yeah. It's the year. God, I hope it's just this year. Oh God.
Right. So I think we're all going to be okay past that one little stunt. Okay. So if people still are having a hard time and don't know their resources, they can still reach out to you, because you are still a resource for this, right? Because
100%. I'm going to be a resource for this going forward, because even if you get the money, again, the important thing is how you allocate it and how you pivot your business so that you can be successful. And this is part of what we're doing in Pivot or Perish, the Facebook group. And I would encourage everybody to join that group. Do you have the link there, Kat?
No, but I will share it.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and I would encourage that to happen, because it's going to increase your interaction. There's a lot of networking going on in there as well. And you can connect with some good strategic partners, which is a very important consideration right now, because I think that those of us that have been joint venture or strategic partner oriented, now is the time for that to really kind of come through. Because if you have a tribe, or you're building a tribe as you do, then they're dependent on you. And if you are bringing resources to them that are vetted resources, they're going to trust those resources. And it's the time to really build on those relationships right now, I think.
Right. No, I would totally agree. And I think the whole pivot thing, if someone hasn't done it by now, they should be thinking about it, because I don't know what's happening in your state, but our state, we're in lockdown until the end of May. And I think they loosened it up in the small towns in Wisconsin, but people are still very skeptical about getting out and, just being out. They're really adhering to the lockdown official rule, and then I think I saw.
Unfortunately, in Florida, they're not. Unfortunately, I obviously give away my perspective, but unfortunately, we're not really on the true lockdown at all. I have been self-quarantined for a long time, as you know, and it's funny, when I go out, I'm very skeptical and nervous. And I did go to a store last week or on the weekend, and I felt very, very nervous because you don't know what the other people are doing. And to be honest with you, as much as this is making me stir crazy, it's better than the alternative, right? So I think we have to really abide by those rules. And they're talking about opening Boca, which is where I live, next week, and opening the parks. And I don't think I'm running out to the parks anytime soon.
Yeah. No, and I would agree with you, because I will do my errands on weekends, and it just petrifies me. So we either go very, very early or late at night when I feel like nobody's going to be out there, But I concur. And I think anybody with children or anybody with elderly people around them are going to be the same way.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any challenges that you keep hearing about, here recently, over and over, besides people just waiting on the funding? Because I know I personally didn't know anybody who received the funding until I just got mine a day ago,
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to who's getting it and who's not. I have some larger clients that haven't received it and some smaller clients that have. So one in particular who applied day one and still hasn't received it. I myself, like I say, haven't received any funding, and I applied day two. The challenges are that yesterday the SBA's economic injury disaster loan portal was supposed to reopen. It's still not reopened.
Right.
So, everybody's like, well, why isn't it reopened? Well, I wish I knew the answer to that question, because unfortunately, I suddenly am the funding expert, which is great, but I don't know what the SBA is doing. I've got to tell you, I don't have a direct link to them or to President Trump or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if I had the answers, I would be sharing them. But all I can say is keep trying, keep trying. And if you haven't applied as a small business owner, any of Kat's clients that haven't applied, talk to me, because you need to apply. You are leaving money on the table, especially in terms of the grant for each employee.
Right.
Even if you end up with $1,000, it's got to be worth it, because it doesn't take very much time, and you're entitled to it. So why would you not access it?
No, I agree. So TK asked, what topic are we talking about? So again, we're talking about the funding that's available to businesses now that you have to apply to, and we're also talking about pivoting your business and some of the things that you can do, especially those businesses that are not going to get funding, or you are deciding, should I shut down? Should I move on? What should I do? Because I hear a lot of rumbling of that. I hear a lot of that, and so that's what we're talking about. And Lauren is an attorney, and she's been helping businesses with her Facebook group, Pivot or Perish, which is perfect. And she's here talking about being a resource and really trying to help businesses figure this out. But even after the fact of getting funding, what do you do? How do you hold yourself accountable so that you don't get penalized for taking these funds and using them in the wrong way? Because they are meant for specific things.
Yes.
And you have to make sure you document these things.
Correct.
So on the note of the SBA website, I do know, okay, and I'm just going to say it again out loud again. When I applied, and they said, if you applied before March 30th, the system crashed and none of those applications went through. And when I talked to the person at SBA, she said, apply again. And I said, well, isn't that because I go, well, I think I applied after. She goes, I don't care. Apply again, because their application will just cross-reference. It's not like you're going to be applying twice,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want to make sure people know that the system did crash. And what it sounds like, the system may have crashed again, because they're not telling the public when the system crashes, by the way. All they can say is if you haven't heard anything, you should apply again. Yeah. And if you get an email, then you record that number.
Well, actually, what you should do is when you press submit, it'll put it on your screen. You're not going to get an email. Take a picture of that. Take a screenshot of that. So I thought I lost that with the laptop that got the grape juice on it, but I found it on my phone. Because otherwise I didn't have that picture. I'm like, I don't even know what my number is.
Right.
But so take a picture, a screenshot of the confirmation so that you have it, because you will not receive an email, oddly.
That's correct. That is correct. Because she told me, she said, once you get that number, you can call back and get an update, because then that's how they trace back to your account. And then I was just calling every week. Where is I of course got the same answer. Well, it's in the process.
Yeah, that's the answer. It's in the queue. It's in the queue. Yeah. So keep on praying.
Right.
What it comes down to.
Right. And then somebody mentioned on another live I had is there is Kiva. Like if people need money, Kiva is very fair, and there are other loan companies that are trying to supplement that have a lower interest. They're not going to be a 0 or 3%. They're not going to be those, but they're trying to lower them to be close to what the government's offering so that they're a resource too. So I just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, and that's what we're posting in the group as well, is stuff like that. So Kat, you might want to post about that Kiva option in the group, because a lot of people are struggling. If you have a line of credit, obviously this is the time to use it, certainly. But there's a whole wide range of grants and loans available. It's just a matter of looking. I have a list. It's a 128-page resource guide. The first half is loans. The second half is grants. There's Facebook grants. There's Google grants, Amazon grants. Now, a lot of these grants are only available to companies with 2 or more employees, but Kat's company could qualify. Mine can't because most of my team members are 1099s. It is what it is.
Right.
So, but at the end of the day, there's money there. Don't leave it for somebody else. Take advantage and try to get it, especially if you need it. And if you have a restaurant or a hospitality business, or you're a chiropractor or a lawyer struggling or anything, just reach out to me and join the group, and let's get you some traction and some opportunities to build your business back to something else maybe, or pivot for success, because there are options.
Right. And I would have to concur with that, because I did hear some businesses that thought they couldn't apply for something. The rule, it's like you said when we first talked, the rules keep changing and changing and changing. So the name of the game is, like you said, apply as much as you can to everything that's out there. Let them turn you down, because again, it is a revolving rule change. And especially when these big corporations sucked up all the first round of money, and a lot of that will circulate back into the system for small businesses. I think what's happening is, and from my own experience, is they make it really, really difficult for you to get the money. But at the end of the day, anything where somebody's giving you money, it's not going to be easy. It's not, Yes, you have to put in the time, you have to do the work, you have to pull the records, you have to pull all your reports.
And you're going to need records going forward and backward. So if you've been in business for a few years, you're going to need those records. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, Kat, and a lot of people are going to overlook that stuff and end up having problems.
Right.
And so if you want to avoid those problems, reach out to me. Okay, set up a funding and pivoting strategy session. Let's talk about some coaching for you. Everybody has the opportunity to pivot. I pivoted. Let's figure out some strategies for you. Look, I pivoted, and now they're calling me the princess of pivot. So, I mean, who knew? Don't worry, we'll be using that soon.
I love it. I think that's awesome.
So look, if the shoe fits, right?
Yes.
As long as I'm a princess, I'm okay with it.
So any other recommendations in regards to the pivoting of success stories that you've seen or heard?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I'm going to say is don't think in a box, because I had one hypnotist that said, my clients don't want to work online. My clients don't want to do this. My clients don't want to do that. I had one person that said, I don't want a membership program. The reality is that if you're going to think like you did before, you're never going to be successful. You have to be willing to expand your horizons and think outside of the box, because right now the normal that we had is never going to exist again, and we have to think of new opportunities. They aren't only online, but a lot of them will be, and you're going to need to do some stuff to make yourself tech savvy, social media savvy, have people work on your team. At the end of the day, don't do this alone, because I was on a podcast this morning, and the guy was saying he creates pillows. And he said he moved to a new community, and he said, I decided that I'm going to hire everybody, all the professionals, and focus on the pillows. So he sold $4,500 worth of pillows in a week, a couple of weeks ago, because he delegated all of his grunt work. So rather than trying to figure out how to allocate this money, rather than trying to figure out what other money is available, rather than trying to figure out how to pivot your business, talk to professionals that will help you so that you can focus on rebuilding and regrowing and expanding your business. So maybe eventually you can go global, which is where I can really help you as well. Because the truth is that if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. And if you think in the box, you're going to limit yourself. You can't have limiting beliefs right now, because there's nothing of what we had that is what we will have. Right. Even if you're a digital company, right? Mm-hmm. Because your clients are struggling now, and you have to talk to them differently, right?
Yes.
So there, just think differently, think expansively, open your mind to new opportunities, and you will survive
Yeah.
and not perish. You'll pivot.
I would have, okay, so I'm probably a good example too, because I had to adjust and create a different model for this time. Okay, the pandemic, people's budgets are smaller and whatever, and it's really taken off. And so if I hadn't have done that, I would be squirming like anybody else, saying, "Well, oh, woe's me," and what have you. So the clients that I'm getting now are completely different clients. They're totally different, but there was money out there. There is
Right.
money out there for businesses. If you just look at the landscape, you apply your business to how can you solve a problem today that fits your model, your company, so that you can still continue to do business and still continue to function. Because here's the reality is, this is not going to go away overnight. I mean, we're going to be in this kind of mode probably for most of the rest of the year, because there'll be people like me and you who are afraid to go out. I mean, I'm not going to run as soon as they say,
I know.
"Oh, let's open the gates." I'm not running out the door.
No, no, thank you. I'm okay. I'll survive
Right.
somehow. Yeah.
I mean, if I had my ways, I probably would have what is it called, where you have it underground, your bunker, or what
Oh,
do you,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Like an escape room or something.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is, you might have different clients. You might have a different model that you are now catering to. And when the gates open up, you'll have another revenue stream. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people really do need to have an open mind and kind of see the dynamics of what's going on. But you're a great example. Like, you're everywhere on social media. So you're doing a lot of lives, you're doing a lot of workshops, you're doing a lot of podcasts, you're doing a lot of stuff to stay relevant and stay out there. And, I was having this conversation with a client of mine, and I said, the best thing you can do today, right now, for your business, and this was somebody who didn't advertise at all. I said, get on social media,
Yeah.
because every time I go live on my StreamYard, my program, it warns me, you might get kicked off. There are so many people on social media.
Right. There's a reason.
Right.
Right.
And so I think what you're doing is really growing and, really has a magnitude effect,
And there's something else that I'll throw in there. And, I tend to not focus on this as much as I should. But I've had my real estate license for 12 and a half years. And part of the reason I've had that license is, I grew up in real estate. My mom was in real estate for 20 years in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided it was a great add-on for my clients to be able to refer clients to buy homes and make real estate investments. Because as you know, my core website is about going global, and we are actually launching a campaign, which you're going to be seeing the memes soon, because I've just had them designed by a graphic designer, about all kinds of about real estate investment and how you can qualify for a visa with real estate investment and so on. So anyway, I've had this license for the longest time, and I recently joined eXp Realty. Now, eXp is a cloud-based, like the Uber of real estate. Now, what is super cool about it is that right now it's going crazy,
right?
Because people are home. They're realizing that there has to be more than just buying and selling homes when you're a realtor. And so there's this huge opportunity to build another stream of income, an actual residual stream of income, which is going to continue whether or not we are able to leave our homes. And that's the beautiful thing. And we need to add those streams of income to what we're doing, because if we don't have them, when this, because this is not going to be a one and done situation.
Right.
We need to build ongoing evergreen streams of income that are going to be able to provide us with a legacy for our children and help them go to school. Because if we rely on the stock market, it's not going to happen.
Right, right. I would agree, and I think those are great, wise words. Okay, so any other bit of advice, Lauren, that you want to give people as we wrap this up?
Connect with me, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm a lawyer, and a lot of people are afraid, oh, she's going to charge me and bill me. And yes, eventually I would like to monetize this, and I do charge for consults, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Yep.
And if you tell me you came to me through Kat, I'll be happy to try to help you. I'll put you into the Facebook group and see how I can provide a service to you of value, because I'm all about value, all
Yep.
about value at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then what do you have coming up this week in case people want to check it out?
Sure. So tomorrow and every Wednesday for the next 4 weeks for sure, I'll be doing webinars at 1 p.m. Eastern, so 12 p.m. Central. The link is, Kat will share the link. It's also
the Facebook page, right?
Pardon me?
Is that the Facebook page?
No, the link is in the Facebook page, but the webinar link, I'll put it here in the chat for you. And you can sign up for that for tomorrow, as I said, at 1 Eastern. And we'll be talking more in depth about how to allocate, what you can spend it on, how you should keep your records, and so on. So it's important, and if you're able to attend, that would be great. Feel free to invite people. I'll also have my credit partner on the call, so he'll talk a little bit about how to repair your credit, how to make sure you protect your credit through this pandemic, because like you said, everybody's credit is going to be impacted in some way or other. Certainly mine has, just by the number of inquiries, you know.
Yep.
So I'm here to serve and help, and thank you, and I love you very much. And one day I'm actually going to meet you and give you a real physical hug. One day.
Awesome. Okay, I have the link up if anybody wants to catch it. I did post it. You can see it on there. I'll make sure I go wrap around and put the hyperlink on all the posts so that you guys can sign up. Also, don't forget, Lauren does have the a Facebook group, the Pivot and Parish. Just sign up. She'll let you in. You just have to go and find it and sign up.
Here, I'll give you the link for that too, so you can just post it.
That'll work. Okay.
Now there's like 3 or 4 questions, but they're not. I'm not spamming you. I just want to know who you are, because I had some Zoom bombers, as you know. So the valuable resources in there, and there's tons of lawyers. Just saying.
Well, because I'm part of the group, and I watch the videos as they pop up, because you have a lot of guests too. You have a lot of stuff, you know.
You need to be a guest in there. We need to set that up. But I was going to just suggest that there was a video the other day I did with my coach, Allison Maslin, and Allison is hosting an event next week. It's $97, Kat. You need to go. Okay. It's $97, and it's 2 for the price of 1. It's like $2,500 to attend her events. And Barbara Corcoran and John Asseroff are both speaking.
Do you have that link too, or no?
I'm gonna. Where's that link? I don't see my link.
So Kenneth, I'm just gonna say this while you're looking for that. Kenneth said, "Great topic. This is important to know." He just signed up for your I think your Facebook group or your.
Thank you. Give me a minute. I'm going to get this for you. I want to get you the right link.
Thanks for the comment, Kenneth. Appreciate it. If anybody else has any questions, please drop a line. If Lauren doesn't get to it now, reach out to her. I'll make sure I tag her. She's available. She'll answer any questions that you might have. Again, I will reiterate that I would advise you to join her Facebook group, the Pivot or Parish. It's on the screen now. And she also has a webinar every Wednesday. So if you're following her page, if you're following her on social media, you will see it. But again, it's every Wednesday. And I'm going to put this link up, which you said is your business coach.
Right. And she's doing this amazing event next week. And she promised the networking is going to be second to none. And I think it'll be awesome, because I haven't been able to go because it's usually in San Diego. And I'm really excited to be able to attend live. And it'll be an awesome event. 12 to 6 Eastern, May 6th to 8th. I mean, $97.
Yeah, I know. That's a hell of a deal.
Even if all you do is come to hear Barbara Corcoran speak, it's got to be worth it. And you can have 2 people join, like 2 for 1.
Okay.
So, sign up. Okay?
Yeah. No,
I hope I'll see you there. Thank you, Kat.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day. I know you have other stuff you got to go to.
I do. I got to go on my next call and look after my kid for 5 seconds.
Okay. Thanks, Lauren. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate it. Again, be safe. Make sure that I love Lauren. She's awesome. So make sure that you stay safe. Linda says
Thanks, much needed information. Thank you, Linda. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, I finally got my funding today. I was thrilled to death when I saw it. I talked to my accountant, and we are going to work on trying to figure out how to make sure that we are going to distribute that money where it's supposed to go so that when I get audited, if I get audited, we cross our T's and dot our I's. So if you have received funding or if you, hey, Santina, good to see you. I need to post your video that I was in, and I have you posted. Um, but anyways, if you have applied for any of the funding, be patient, just know it's coming. I know that I probably charged the SBA on my funding, and I was calling them almost every week because I was like, where is it? Where is it? And finally, I got it today, and I'm so very, very thankful. And that was the grant. So I got the funding for the grant for my employees, and I also applied for the EDL loan. I think that's part of the EDL loan. And then I also applied for the CCC loan, and my bank is telling me I need to, so they keep emailing me every day, which I love because they're keeping me tuned in on what's going on. So what I'm trying to say is if you don't have a resource, if you don't have someone helping you out with any of this funding, we just spoke to Lauren. She's a great resource. She has a Facebook group, Pivoter Parish, doing a webinar every Wednesday to teach you how to get the funds and what you should do. And then she's also participating in other workshops and live events with a bunch of other resources. So I think everybody is really just trying to help everybody out, which I love. It just warms my heart. And if you have any questions, again, drop a line. I'm happy to forward those to Lauren. If I can't answer them, I will definitely forward them to her. And so at the end of the day, it is about surviving. What are you doing to survive? If your business is down, then my advice to you is pivot, pivot, pivot. And pivot does not mean change your whole business model. It means what can you do to solve a problem today to help people so that you can make money off of it. And I had to slightly pivot my business, and I have a completely different customer base now, and I love them. I love them, and they're awesome. And so my suggestion would be for you to do the same. Um, if you have any questions in regards to marketing or advertising, as I stated earlier, social media is at an all-time high. If you're not taking advantage of social media right now to promote yourself or your business, you are crazy because every time I go live, every time through Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn and just every platform that I'm going live in, it's telling you might get bumped off. You might get bumped off because the social media is so populated. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say you're not using social media right now to promote your business or yourself or brand yourself. You need to start doing it. And if you need help, that's where I come in. Like me and my team. I still have the team going. We're still open. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. And we still have more guests coming. So I'm super excited to continue to have the guests that are resources and that can help you out. If you want to be a guest, reach out to me, let me know. And again, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. And thanks for all the kind messages. I really love it. Thank you so much. So as I always end this, stay home, stay safe, and be positive. Please drink lots of water. Water is good for you. And get some exercise. It's healthy. Hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon. As I always end this,